Hello and welcome back to episode 11, the final part of this series that I've been sharing all week, all about working in this little and often way. As always on a Friday, we focus on you and getting into the personal and what you need to switch, what you need to shake up, and what you need to consider. Now, the temptation, I know for many of us, is to just get it all down on paper and make the plan look and feel really, really lovely and make it make sense. And I have some friends like this who they're like, if it looks fine on an Excel spreadsheet, surely it's going to work. And this part, the numbers part, the logical part, is so important. However, there are so many things underneath that may be blocking and stopping you. So it's really important to do that inner work as well. And some of us in some areas have a lot more work to do than others. But this is why we're here, to do this series of Little and Often. So I want to ask you today, in terms of your big goals, these things that you've been thinking about in your business this week, as I've been talking about, I want you to get really clear, almost like you fast forward the picture to when this goal has been achieved. What does it look and feel like? What are you wearing? What are you sounding like? What's your energy? If somebody took a snapshot of this current reality, the end product, what would you like to see and experience? And I think this exercise is really powerful from several perspectives. Firstly, it encourages you to get really specific and to stop being vague. People will often say these things, and we will have all grown up with these phrases of like, I just want to be rich and famous. What do you mean? Do you mean rich as in you never have to work again? Do you mean rich as in you're going to double the amount of money that you currently make? Do you mean being a billionaire on a yacht and just floating around the world? What do you mean? Also, from the fame perspective, you can do the same exercise. I think so often we let ourselves just get away with these sort of floaty situations that, oh, I'd love to do this one day. I'd love to travel more one day. I want you to think about what that version of you is. And do you know what the first thing that comes to mind when I think about travel? I want to travel more with my family, and I can go into the specifics another time. But the first thing that came in mind of how I was feeling was that we were that family that was so proficient at traveling. You know, we would have all of the fancy international plugs. My kids would just know how to sleep on the plane. I would have great luggage. I would know the brilliant places in duty free to go. I would have a different, I'm going there now. I would have a different set of packing cubes for each member of my family. I would have all of that. So by doing that exercise, by really stepping and visualizing into that version of myself, I get to know the details. And then what I get to do is to begin the process. Number 2, I want you to think about where you are right now in terms of those goals and make a commitment to explore the next part. I think that, say we go back to the rich and famous, whatever that means, or travel more, we might go, well, I'm not really traveling much at the moment and I want to travel more. Okay, what is the 10 out of 10 version of traveling more? Is that going away every single holiday that the kids are off school? Is that knowing you book 2 weeks in the summer where you essentially just switch off and you live your life and you're having a digital detox where you totally just relax and unwind? What is travel more meaning to you? And then I want you to write down a list of all of the things that that comprises of. And so what we can sometimes do is we feel like we're starting at 0 and the thing that we want is like 10 out of 10, and that gap is just absolutely huge. The thing is, you might already be at a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6, and you just need to keep going. You just need to do more of the things. So I want you to break down that process on a scale of 1 to 10. What is the next number that you need to consider, and how do you make that transition? Number 3. How can you begin to sprinkle that version of you into your daily life? I think there is this myth sometimes that we are going to wake up one day and we will just be the 10 out of 10 version of ourselves and everything will be perfect. And we see this all the time in interviews, that it's a story that is in fact the absolute opposite, where somebody wins the Oscar, for example, and I always joke because my boy is called Oscar and I feel like I've won the Oscar every day. No, in all seriousness, they have that moment, and actually I've just got, there we go. So I'm going to hold it here. So they win the Oscar and they have that moment of, how do you feel? Do you feel like a changed person? And so often they'll go, sort of feel exactly the same. I feel really good, but I'm still going to go and clean my house tomorrow or cook my breakfast or whatever it might be. I want you to begin this process now. So often we wait until we assume this perfect time is coming, but it's now time to include that first class version of who it is you want to be and where you want to go right now. So how can you do that practically in a little and often way? Number 4, I've got a whole workshop on this. So if you want access to a free workshop, go over to my free workshop section on my website. It's just in the navigation bar. I want you to notice what is blocking and stopping you, and to really look at the habits and the outdated stories. So my morning routine, I've talked about this a little while ago. This morning routine of mine, it's very flexible because sometimes it totally goes out of the window because I've got kids or I've had a rough night or somebody's woken me up or any number of things. But generally the way that it goes is I wake up before other people. I mean, like in my house, I go downstairs and I immediately go out and I open the back door. We've got these great spiral stairs that go down from our living room. And I usually just plant myself there and I have a moment and I take some deep breaths and I listen to the birds and I think about the weather and I just really center myself. Then I go and make a cup of tea and I have that cup of tea, and then I usually have about 10 minutes of just thinking time, not necessarily meditation, but what's going on today, what's happening. And sometimes it will be so apparent that I will have something I need to clear, something really gnarly, something that's getting in my way, something that's on my mind. Maybe it's a worry, maybe it's like some old gunk from childhood or whatever it is, something that's bothering me. And then when I go for my run, which I try to do most days, I don't go far, I don't go fast, but I generally try and do a run most days. I then commit that time to clearing it. And sometimes there have been runs where I've literally run down my street and I've had those tears coming out as I've been clearing that whatever it is. And then at the end of the run, there is that moment when I unlock my door and I come home and I walk through and I now know that I've committed to clearing that thing. And I know that if I do those things on a daily basis and actively meet those things and talk to them and say, you are blocking me, what's happening, what's going on here, and then make a decision to get rid of them, that is actively moving me in the direction of my future self. Because I do not want to be one of those people as I go through my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and beyond. I'm still telling that story of how something bothered me, or it just elevates and it gets bigger and bigger and uglier. I want to take action to clear it, because when I block it, when it blocks and stops me, it's getting in the way of the good stuff. So I want you to really begin to understand yourself, to carve out that time to listen, to see what's going on. And almost like if you were cleaning your kitchen, some days that kitchen tidy up, it's really straightforward. It's like, right, I'll just load the dishwasher. I've cleaned as I've gone, and then just going to put the kettle on and make a cup of tea after dinner. Sometimes there's like bits from lunch, bits over here, all of these bits and bobs, and it takes forever. And sometimes this is the way that we can feel when we wake up. Sometimes it's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. So with that in mind, I want you to begin to notice what it is that you need, and then create that mechanism where you can clear it. Running works for me. Maybe it's breath work for you. Maybe it's thinking about it while you have a shower and just imagining that water washing it away. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's talking to a friend, whatever it might be. Actively uncover what is blocking and stopping you. And finally, I want you to take yourself on some regular dates with your future self. And I do this sometimes. They're not my local one, but not far, like maybe, 10 minutes drive down the road. There's an enormous Waitrose, a really, really good one. They've got all of the things. They've got all the selections, all the flavors, everything you've ever wanted. They've got a massive freezer section. They've got like a John Lewis bit at the back. And sometimes I will think about, because I guess when I think about being that future self version of me, often it's that person who has this enormous table and I have lots of people around. That's always how I see it. It's never about having, a marble fireplace necessarily. I just want a big space at the back of my house where people can come and sit and have food and have a lovely time. And so with that in mind, I sometimes wander about Waitrose thinking, what would I buy if money was no object? Or if I wanted to do this sort of food and I was doing this for 15, just knowing that I could just buy that and I could just pay for stuff and it would just be no thought. It would just all be joy. So sometimes I do that. It's taking yourself on those dates where you allow yourself to look, you allow yourself to try things on, you allow yourself to think about which one you would choose, rather than just assuming that this thing is so far in the future. Because also sometimes you then go back to the thing and go, it's not as expensive as I thought, or they do these deals, or maybe on Black Friday I could get this, and this because there's more of a discount, or whatever it might be. It gets the wheels in motion. It gets you excited about what it is you want to be, do, have, and feel. I hope that's been useful today. I would love to know where you're up to, what you need help with. If you want to come to my live event on the 30th of June, do check out the description. It's on my events page on my website, nikkiraby.com. I would love to help and support you every step of the way. Lots of love, and I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.